Sam, how you been, dude? It's been like 6 months at this point since our podcast. How's training going?
It's been up and down. I've been out here in Salt Lake City for about the past 3 weeks, and I've been traveling a lot. I've spent like 2 nights at home in the month. I went to Colorado Springs to train with one of the United States Olympic Committee coaches for strength and conditioning, and I've just really been trying to learn a lot about like peaking and doing strength and power cycles and trying to be at my absolute best, and as well as just actually getting faster on the wall. But I've had like 2 weeks of just sickness and food poisoning and just the worst like thing you could go through for as far as training, where you're like almost there, but you're just like not quite there yet. And I'm just yet to be at 100% this trip. So that's a little frustrating, but we're fighting back.
Adversity training, as he says.
It is adversity training. It is learning to fight against the things that can hold you down.
Yeah, and especially maintaining that good mindset when it's all stuff that you don't really have control over, because that stuff pops up just when it comes to travel, when it comes to anything. So, it's a good mindset to have. What's the first competition you're looking at doing?
I'm leaving for Korea in 30 days. Today's March 29th, I think. I'm going to leave in like 26 days, compete in about a month.
Nice. How long are you getting there before the competition to give yourself some time to acclimate?
About 3 or 4 days, I think is
Okay.
good. Asia is a little tough because it's such a different environment than what I'm used to, but I'll be in Asia for like 19 days, I think, through the Indonesia World Cup. And so I'll give myself as soon as possible, head down to Jakarta and acclimate to their environment before I compete there.
Awesome. Excellent. Albert, it's only been like 4 days since we last chatted.
I know.
How's life? How you doing?
I've been so immediately after we talked, I got my I don't remember if it was before or after, but I got my middle finger infected.
I saw that like a day after. It just huge.
It just explodes. It's better now, but it was like twice the size. Yeah. And I just like finally had a really productive session where I got to fix the details on my start and just getting a lot more power off the ground. Improved my start by 0.15 already. So here we go. This is it.
All it took was an infection.
Yeah. I just needed to get infected and the pestilence went away and it was like Pandora's box closed and I'm happy and positive.
Pestilence.
The pestilence of the world attacked me. But
you super compensate just based off of whatever was infecting you. So like, is it the stronger the virus or infection, like the better the peak you'll have afterwards?
I'm pretty sure if I was infected with something that will like borderline death, I don't know, like what's the most heinous virus or bug out there?
The plague.
Like the bubonic plague. But if I survive that, I'm pretty sure I just go sub 5.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
All right.
Well, so one of the interesting things that we've been working on since Sam's pretty much been living upstairs in the loft for the past, I don't know, like while we've watched every single country's national team selection comp or like nationals, whatever variation they have. So we've seen Italy,
France, China,
Japan. I've watched Spain. Where else? Oh, I saw clips from Ukraine.
So some are harder to come by as far as VODs go, but we've been watching them mostly. And of course, US.
In US. That was weird because it was like I was there in person or something.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about those different countries' qualifiers. I mean, the big one's China with that happened. But which country's qualifier stood out the most to you aside from China? So let's hit that one last.
Ooh.
Probably Italy. I'd say.
Yeah.
With like Matteo Zolani like becoming like actually consistent and actually showing that he can be like running like 5.2, 5.1 like in competitions in a finals bracket, which like I didn't not expect out of him, but I was like, he wasn't really on the World Cup season last year, and I saw some practice times from him. And so I was really like not taken aback, but like I was like, oh man, this is another really fast person on the circuit now. that's going to be making some splashes.
Wait, actually, can we have a guest appearance?
Yes, always.
Hey, CC, come here. This is the legendary CC Koff,
Hello.
speed champion. What year?
Third, 2018.
2018. Oh, third. But no, you won youth, didn't you?
Did I win youth?
I'm pretty sure you won youth.
No, I don't think I ever won youth.
Oh,
Not in speed.
I'm
It's okay,
sorry, my
CC, I
stats
also
are-
never won youth.
yeah. But yeah, so it was very interesting watching Mateo because he seemed like he could control 5.4 very easily. Like he was very in control, and that was like his. If he knew he was going to beat the guy, he didn't like push it and just went some 5.4. And then like yeah, as the rounds progressed, he went faster and faster and faster until he ran like the 5.1. What was it? 5.17.
5.18, yeah.
Something like that. 5.18.
All right. So with Italy now having sub 5.2s, I mean, that consistency is huge because I mean, like Sam, you were showing that consistency as well before you started having your breakthroughs in training with what you were hitting. So like other countries that you see that are now being more consistent that you think are going to have those breakthroughs.
Ooh, China.
I think China has already shown it can, but I think Korea for sure. I think can really show that. I think it matters like a sort of like through youth and through like the cultural sort of aspect of it, like they can really build a program, like especially on the women's side as well. Like you see in Italy, like there's a ton of really good youth athletes, and there's a ton of really like that come into the open cycle, and we're seeing that a little bit more in the US now. But as time goes on, you have this sort of like pathway or pipeline from an athlete to become like from a youth athlete to a professional. Sort of, and like the top of those go on, and we're starting to see that happen in more and more countries. So it's just more competition.
Especially, it seems like in Italy, they're putting a lot of emphasis on the youth program. I know Lucic or Luxic, it's spelled Luxich, Lucic. He told me that there's a 14-year-old now that's sub 6, as well as one of his athletes went sub 6. That's like very young. So like their youth scene is going crazy, as well as their female side. Beatrice Colis, she ran the 7.21, which is very, very impressive. Also, like Ludovico, I love that he switched the beta to what Mateo was doing because it looks so much better for him, and he was like doing some pretty consistent times. I think at the World Cup, he gets that World Cup buff where he just starts like outperforming, like overperforming out of his practice standards. I think he's gonna like pop off.
All right. So, I mean, let's just talk about China and what they're doing, and let's just roll straight into predictions because I mean, obviously we're gonna have bias with Sam with us because I mean, obviously
Okay,
I'm
let's just say aside Sam, so everyone who gets second and worst.
Everyone who gets second, yeah, who's going to get second at all the World Cups?
Jungle.
He's a big fan of Jungle. One of the major things about him was that he's actually not doing the match dyno. He's doing more of the like
Traditional, I guess.
yeah, traditional, but he's like altering the feet a little bit and stepping on the top part of the hole below it. And it's actually like very interesting because it seems like a lot of the people who previously weren't very good at the match, like they can't fit their hands in it, like are benefiting from doing that beta.
And it's interesting because like everyone's been grabbing the pinch on the left hand and they grab the ball. So it's like, a few inches higher here, and then you step on the horn. That's the name we gave it. I don't know.
The horn.
Maybe
no one uses any part of it.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone use this, so I guess we just call it the horn. And you're lifted about like up to like 4 to 6 inches higher than you initially were. So then you compensate by not matching through getting higher in that position, and then you skip the left hand to the match on 16. You're 14. We have different standards of numbering holds.
There needs to be a better system.
1 through 20. There's 20 holds,
But the start holds don't count.
But okay, some people start 1, 2. Some people start 1. It makes a difference.
Yeah. We need a better system. We need like
1 through 20. 1 through 20. 1 through 20. I'm dead set on 1 through 20.
that's how I do it, but like not knowing any different, like I mean that just made the most sense for me when I started doing analysis.
But like,
But some people do. And what if there's betas like the gala skip where you can step on one?
but
or
there
two?
isn't.
But you could.
Oh,
Anyways,
like I learned the Tomoe skip as 1 to 3, and that was ingrained in my mind. And like I learned all of the holds as skipping like blank hold. So like I'm pretty dead set on not like using the start holds as, because it just doesn't make sense.
universal scale, man.
This is like the Americans in the metric system.
I know. We'll use anything except for the metric system to measure things.
I think what's going to take is for actual speed climbing, like studies, like academic studies, to come out with that specific numbering system. And then once it's ingrained in academia, then like it's just kind of gets forced.
Yeah, it'll be consistently.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll start writing now.
Yeah. The downside about that is like I don't expect seeing it anytime soon, because this is a total aside, not having to do anything with speed climbing, but just sports science in general, that there's no grant money for studying like healthy populations, because most grant money comes from insurance companies and the government trying to make unhealthy people healthier. So like not a lot of people are going to go for a niche for like a niche sport. So that kind of sucks. So if it's not you doing it, Albert, I'm gonna have to do it, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna go back to school, get my PhD now.
You don't need to have your PhD. You can be a co-author on my study.
Perfect.
Co-author,
Let's
there you
go.
Only masters.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, everyone that has been watching and paying attention obviously understands that Sub 5 is going to happen this year. Just a matter of when and who and how many times and how deep it goes. So I want predictions. And Albert, let's start with you. What's your?
No.
We're not starting with you because you have to say your stuff. Like, so I want to find out from Albert first. Who, what, and where, and how awesome.
We talked about it where it's like, it depends on running order at Seoul. Like it really does.
For first, yeah. I think it's actually pretty freaking difficult.
Yeah.
Like, to do.
Because you have to risk the timer.
Yeah, but I think like there's so many athletes now that are like could run like peak like 4.8, maybe even 4.7 at this point, who have that like kind of room to spare with like reaction time and like not doing a certain movement, like that have like made mistakes and still run like 5.0, and it's just a matter of luck. Like it's like an incomprehensible difference between the kernel record and a sub 5 time.
Yeah. How many 5.0s are there now? There's
Jimmy,
Jimbao, Jiangguo, you, Mateo. Who else? Kiramal, Madrid.
6.
There's 6. I'm sure there's more. I think one of the other Chinese guys. Liang Zhang. Yeah, he ran the 5.0.
7 people have run 5.0.
Yeah.
At this point,
So
so
it might be 8 if I'm like miscounting, but
yeah, we just want to see like who's gotten faster throughout the year. A lot of people like we haven't gotten any footage from the Indonesians.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, I haven't seen like any even like practice like footage, because they just keep it kind of like sealed off, but like also they might just have not gotten faster.
yeah.
Like from some videos like that Aspar's been posting, like he like blurred the clock on it and we like hand timed it. It was like 5.5.
Yeah.
I was like, why are you doing this?
It's like, don't blur it. We know you can run 5.5. It's not a shot.
Yeah.
Other people who have notably improved, Jun.
Yeah.
Jun Yasukawa ran the 5.1. Basa Mao Wem. 38, 2 kids, 5.27. Legend. I think
Absolute legend.
Yeah, because he has what, like the most experience out of every competitor. He will not run that time every time.
Yeah.
He will run like 5.3 or faster every run. You just know he will. He's perfect.
And you want to talk about awesome comeback stories based off of that just gruesome freaking injury.
Yeah.
Like at his age, like I can. It's easier for my brain to wrap around someone Sam's age coming back from an injury like that with 0 effects on their career and their athletic performance. But like the thought of me just like tearing my bicep tendon and then being able to come back and be better than I was is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, we'll see. Also, I mean, I don't think he's like gonna not get faster too.
Yeah.
I think he really wants to compete, especially like that kind of European field is stacking up for the Olympics.
Yeah. Even in France, he wasn't like pushed at their national cup. No one was pushing him. He's kind of just running his own races. So imagine he goes against you or something.
Yeah, I mean, we know that he has that kind of winning drive in him from years and years of doing it.
Yeah. He's
All
just so psyched all the time.
So thinking about that and just how everyone is just consistently getting better. Although we don't know about the Indonesians, obviously, I'd like to assume that they are also improving. But looking at what it's going to take to get to finals, what do you think is going to be the new barrier this year?
At the best comp, like usually it's like Villars or Chamonix. What do you think?
5.32.
Yeah.
My prediction. Worst comp like 5.7.
Yeah. There will be like random comps where you probably can sneak in with like a 5.8, 5.7.
Yeah, it's honestly like with what it's shown, like even it gets a little oversaturated when you think about like how many people have run times in practice and how many people can actually do that in competitions. But it's pretty hard, especially like I would say there's about like a almost half a second average time pushed from practice PR to comp run time at any given comp. I mean, obviously you have some outliers who can run PRs in qualifying rounds, but it's really that's a very like high level skill to master in order to do that in a qualifying round. So we'll definitely see. But there is a lot more like kind of bulk between like the people who were previously running like 5.9 to 5.7 that can now run like 5.5 to 5.7. Yeah, like that range.
And like even just look at Team China, like their 16th place guy was still running 5.4. So it's like they bring their whole team, you're guaranteed a 5.4. And it was consistent too.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So what do you think is more of a direct, is it more attributable to, or sorry, the more increase in consistency on these faster times? Do you think this is more to do with just the evolution of the sport, more athletes, deeper talent pools, evolution of the beta, different training methods? What are your thoughts on that? What's kind of driving this?
Everything you just said. I think beta is probably the biggest. Yeah. Like beta is the easiest change you can make to get faster pretty much immediately. And like finding the perfect line and looking at new things, like it is the most immediate help. And then on a more macro scale, I think you could say evolution of training. Like there's been more like dedicated speed teams that have sprung out of like the sort of the federations. Like I know US is just starting to get in its embassy of a dedicated speed coach and a dedicated speed like team, and like branching off of the federation a little bit, still being a part of it, but like knowing like what to do specifically for speed is I think a major factor. What do you think?
I think a big emphasis was that climbers started realizing that this is a very much technique sport. Before, in the olden days, it's just like get stronger, go faster. They're spending a lot more time on the wall versus off the wall, where before it was like the opposite. And that's like a huge proponent because people's techniques have drastically improved. It's not just like they got stronger. It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't think Bassa probably got that much stronger. Maybe he's like maintained, but I think his technique is even better now and his beta is better. And so like just like concepts of the way we've been shifting has really impacted everyone.
And that's one of the great things about as new beta are displayed and more people are learning about it. I know whenever there's any sort of shakeup, like, oh, is this the one I should do? Is that the one I should do? Anytime you can free people from kind of like the shackles of what they're used to and kind of open their brains up to something that, oh, maybe this would be better for my body type. Maybe this would be better for where I am physically, strength-wise, etc. And you can start having the more tailored beta for your body type and who you are. You're going to get that more. Everyone's going to get more consistent within who they are just based off of that. So that really has me excited because, again, that's just more cannon fodder that I have whenever I'm talking to people that are telling me that speed climbing isn't real climbing because it's all the same. Like, it's not.
Yeah, try
it. It's because your eyes you don't know what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting, especially when you look at the female side. Their beta has changed drastically. Last season, everyone was matching off the Tomoa. Now, all the girls are just going 1-2. Some of them are even doing the middle match dyno. There's a certain climber that will debut their beta that is very interesting. I don't think she wants it to be revealed, but it's very like I've always had the theory that as long as you're tall enough, any girl could do the guy's beta, and it's being proven now, and I'm really excited to see. Rumor, actually, it's not rumor; it was confirmed at the Polish national. I don't know if it's like national selection or just nationals. Miroslav ran a 6.39, and in the prior round ran like a 6.51. So it's like, all right, clearly she's doing something better, and she got better, and so yeah, evolution is clearly happening.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see even more drastic drops from the women. So like there's a formula that exists in like track and field where it's like men's world record compared to female world record. And it's like usually within like X amount percentage of that. And I did the calculation for speed climbing last year. And like given where men are, like women should be sub 6 when it comes to if you're going to apply that same sort of calculation to it, which is it accurate? No, it's a rough estimate, but like there is a wider like performance gap that I think is going to narrow as you're right, as more females discover that the men's beta can actually be effective for them depending on their height, strength, etc. as they experiment with that.
One thing that I, as a coach, I know is kind of a problem is when you're coaching a female athlete, they come from bouldering and lead, right? And all of a sudden they start getting better at speed. They have insane power. They go back to bouldering and they're like, oh, I can do every dyno I couldn't do. And then they just stop training speed because they got better at bouldering. And I'm like, no. Stop, please. So they get rewarded and they're like, yeah, whatever. But like I think now it's getting more specialized. We're starting to see like speed dedicated athletes.
Yeah, I think talent is probably the biggest factor when it comes down to that. I think like the talent pool for speed climbing, even the men's side, has gone up like 200%. Like I think like most, like I would say maybe it's like 60 or 70% of the athletes that'll do World Cup starts this year didn't in like 2019, maybe even more. And I think that shift is still sort of happening for women. I think it's maybe like a year or so behind, with more like dedicated federation support. I know like USA Climbing is doing like a pretty good job at trying to equalize and trying to give as many resources as possible to contribute their growth to both of the men and the women's side. And I think other countries will follow suit, but it's just a process.
Yeah. And from the developmental side, like speed getting more and more accepted and understood as its own sport as well it should be, like it allows for better talent identification at the earlier age. Whereas like if you were a climber and you were really explosive, your only option was basically like you're going to be a boulderer. Like this is what you're going to do. But with speed becoming more and more accepted and widely known, with more speed walls going up and more coaches being able to train it, you can actually more discriminate and be like, well, no, you would actually be more successful at speed than even bouldering.
Yeah.
Let's get you in this talent, in this pipeline, and develop you this way. So, I mean, that's just all bodes very well for the immediate and even far future of the sport. So, Sam, you've clearly been having training success. You said you've been working with a new strength and conditioning coach at the Olympic Training Center. Want to get in any depth? Like, what are you doing different? You don't have to go into like super depth, but just like any new exercises, anything like new training organization wise that you feel like is really working for who you are as an athlete?
Yeah, so I think like learning to accept the idea of having a macro cycle in which you have a strength phase, a deloading phase, a power phase is something that I've in the past couple of months really grasped the concept of, because it was very like new to me. Because it's a pretty high level thing to do, where you build up strength and then you deload and you get your body used to it, and then you do a power phase and then you learn to activate that, and you can structure your climbing in a way that can like accept that to the best way for your competition and the competition dates, accounting for things like travel and accounting for things like adjusting to new environments. And it's really a whole new world of optimizations you can make for yourself. And I'm super excited for the doors it can open in the future.
So then with that, are you still working with a climbing coach specifically, like while you're doing your training? So like, and my question to that was, how do your two coaches work together then? Because I know when you finish, say, your strength phase, you deload, you're compensating, now you start working on power, now you're actually learning how to, you know, actualize the strength gains that you got and apply it to the wall. Your climbing is going to feel different because now you're putting power through faster, you're going to be faster on the wall, and your beta is going to feel different or possibly need to change. So how do those two synergize with your training?
I'm at the point in my career where I sort of have myself and I'm like self-coached with input from a lot of great people. I come from a great system of Team Texas and Dallas where I have a ton of great coaches with a ton of great experiences that they can share with me and we can have great conversations. But at the end of the day, I do like end up making my own decisions on what is best for me. And I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. Sometimes I'm not always right when it comes to doing that. And sometimes it's like, you just have to make a decision and like, you know, take a little gambit on doing like a certain way of training that's maybe a little bit more aggressive or like a certain new beta. And it all comes down to just your own analysis of all of the different factors and the input from people around you and just sort of combining it all together into a neat little ball. And that's your final output. That's just completely in your control.
All right, Albert, I know we just kind of monopolized the conversation there for a second, but I mean, you competed at team trials, you took some time off a little bit with your injury, your finger blew up to the size of a small water balloon. All those things aside, how is your training going and what are you doing different if anything at all compared to what you did in the lead up to team trials?
Right now, I'm doing a lot of injury prevention. So working on my shoulders, getting my fingers like very strong. I want them to be strong, like but slow build up strong. Because those are the two things that always just, you know, those are the weakest parts of my body. And a big thing is like, I'm quite jealous about the speed climbers 10, 15 years down the road, because we're in this position where like, the way we've been having conversations and thinking about speed climbing, just hanging out with Sam this whole time is like, we just think about it as much as possible, be logical and be honest with what we think is valuable and not valuable. And we're gonna make mistakes and that's okay as long as we're learning from them. But in the future, those athletes won't have to make the same mistakes as we are. And we just get to feed them the information. They'll just learn from what we did. And so they'll progress at a faster rate and go beyond and have the same process that we're thinking about. Definitely one of the biggest things that I've always enforced during whenever I coach any athlete in speed, it's like, I'm not here to coach you on speed. I'm here to coach you how to learn. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, yeah, I'll tell you like what you're doing wrong, but like, I need you to figure out how you're doing it wrong as well. And so that's something I've been looking at for myself. So that's why I came to you for help. I'm like, how do I not die? How do I not break? Because that's a pretty common trend for me. So yeah, mitigation right now. And then I'm just like working some beta, like micro positional stuff. And then it's just going to set myself up for success. I don't care what any of my times have been. They've like all been like low 7s or high 6s, like, but I know it's going to pay off when it does.
Sure. Excellent. It was really hard for me not to just interject with a plus ultra when you said that the other athletes of the future are going to go beyond. And I'm just like, oh man.
Plus ultra.
Oh man. But
I'll
no,
be boss's age.
Well, I was just
Still
going to
kicking
ask. So, Albert, how old are you again?
Me?
Yeah.
26.
Okay. So you're saying 10, 15 years down the line, you're still going to be competing.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm going to beat them. Don't worry.
Like think about myself, like 10 years down the line, I'm 48 years old. If I'm still hanging off of a wall, I'm doing something right physically. But no, that's super exciting. Just anytime I hear what you're doing for training and like how dedicated you are as a adult in you were in the workforce, but I mean, like now you're making the dream happen on YouTube and everything. So obviously links are going to be in the below for Albert's newest video. So check it out once you get done with this. But super excited about that. And that's going to be my next tangent.
Oh.
How is YouTube going? How are you feeling? How's it feel being back?
So
He
you would
makes-
like to
he
explain the
makes
story.
videos about wall climbing.
Would you like to explain the story of how you got me to upload?
So it was like December of last year, and Albert's like, "Oh, I'm so psyched! I'm making videos. I'm gonna quit my job, and he was like working a 9 to 5 at like some random company. I probably won't name it, but he was like, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna make YouTube videos full time. I was like, no, you're not. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll upload first. You haven't uploaded in 2 years. You gotta do it. And so like he was like, okay, no, I'm gonna go home and grind. And then like a month passes, no video, right? I'm like, Albert, where's the video at? How's YouTube going? How's YouTube going? He's like, but eventually it took me actually being here in person to nag you into oblivion to actually doing your job.
You just flamed me every day.
But I think the thing that set him over the edge is I DM'd Kira Mall and I was like, can you send Albert a message and tell him to make videos and tell him to keep spirit? And I think that finally did it. I think that finally made him upload.
Did you hear from Kira Mall?
How do you not respond to that? Like, you have to do it. Doesn't matter what you put out.
Like it's Kira Mall. Like
It's Kira Mall. Kira Mall.
I told him if he doesn't upload another video, I'm involved in Game Wow.
No.
Pretty soon you're gonna have the entire international scene just DMing Albert, like, "Where's the next video?"
Oh no! Not Basa, not Jungle.
So is this is it top secret? Whatever. Do you have thoughts for your next video? What you're working on already?
I just released on Instagram a very short teaser of the Kim Jong-un documentary. It's basically gonna just go throughout her life and like explain things that I don't think are necessarily easily well translated, or some like information that I got from being in the scene before and interviewing her in person. So yeah, I'm hopefully can shed an insight on her. It's gonna be quite long. It's like gonna be like 30 minutes, but I'm excited. It's a full documentary, as well as my new next series will be Technique Tuesdays, and then I'm thinking of other series in between that and videos amongst that. So yeah,
He's got a lot of great ideas that we'll see if they'll actually.
Good. Well, there's one thing that we obviously want you to be is successful, because, well, Sam's not in corporate America life yet, and hopefully you never get there. So, but I know Albert and I, we had similar, at least desk jobs.
Yeah.
And if you can make it work on YouTube, man, that's living the dream at that point. Stressful, I'm sure, but living the dream.
Yeah. Oh, like I can't. I have to, for your sake, I got to make this work.
For all of our sake, we're all for Caramel's sake.
For Hero Mall. That's his new nickname, Hero Mall.
His videos on wall climbing.
On wall climbing.
All right. So open it up to either of you. Anything on your mind that you want to chat about? Like, just.
I have a question for you to direct with Sam. So we talked about plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, and then like the wrist flicking.
Sure.
What are ways Sam can work on this? Because we've been like looking at Sam's runs, like this is kind of like the one last thing that he's not doing as much as like Kiramal or like yeah.
So in which aspect is he not doing as much? Are you talking about like not as much wrist flick, not as much follow through with each? Like,
Yeah.
You have great dorsiflexion. When you bring your knee up, like you really pull your toe back, but like flicking the toe down off of every hold is not as prominent, and like extending the wrists.
Sure. So, I mean, those are obviously going to be two different things that you can work on from like a motor standpoint, and trying to find exercises that carry over to the wall, especially for the wrist motion, might be more difficult than for the plantar flexion, because with the plantar flexion, you've got so many different varieties of different jumps, bounds, plyometrics, et cetera, that you could use to kind of prime that and develop that. And I would say you want to develop it, this is going to sound weird, passively, in the fact that I don't want you ever having to think about doing something extra on the wall while you're competing. So like what you want to do is like try to find exercises that are going to fully develop that, and the hopes that as you further get that feeling off the wall, that it carries over onto the wall, if that makes sense.
What off the wall can I do to increase
Yeah.
my fun?
So I mean, when it comes to different off the wall stuff that you could do that works on that, anything that is going to be plyometric in nature, so short contact time with the ground, so depth jumps, etc. Oh, sorry, what was that?
Oh, we're just like
We're just
doing,
on the
like,
table.
yeah,
Oh,
we're doing-
sure. So, and I can send video examples of different things, but single leg jumps, double leg jumps, like very different, like what we call rudimentary hops, which are training kind of that ankle stiffness and flexion, and dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, all the different ranges, in order to kind of like ingrain that. I'd like to think that your feet are already super strong and given what you do for your training. But you could also do essentially like a little battery of tests, filming low to the ground, seeing what your foot strike looks like while you're doing these hops, and actually getting a better idea of kind of your Achilles and foot stiffness, because it could just be a foot stiffness issue. The contact times on the wall are longer than on the ground, so you can really muscle through stuff. But that might not be what's best, because when you look at sprinters, it's that stiffness, it's that ability for the Achilles, the foot, all the tendons and ligaments to rapidly absorb all the force you're putting into and then reapply it. That's actually going to be most beneficial for high speed force application. So that would be what I do. Take like front and side views, low to the ground, and kind of see what your foot looks like while you're doing some different hopping exercises, some different skips, jumps, bounds. And then we could take a look at that and see if there's anything that would need to be, could just be addressed by adding like a couple of things into like even your warm up.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty hype. A lot of stuff.
yeah.
Now with like the wrist and everything like that, I know Albert, I had sent you a video of like kind of like a crossbody single arm med ball throw down with a small med ball in order to work on kind of that flick. But that also then works on that crossbody loading by having that stretch through the frontal plane and then compressing down and slamming down through the wrist. That gets a little bit more difficult when it comes to like just trying to come up with training ideas that incorporate that flick, because that's such an unnatural motion to most things in sport unless you're throwing something. But also aligning that the throw is now vertical in nature rather than forward in nature, in order to try to just keep it more similar. I'd want to think about that a little bit more, what that could look like.
Yeah, I know it works because I told Zachary Hammer to like flick his left wrist down really hard, and then he PR'd. Like while missing like a couple of the other foot. Yeah, just was able to get his knee in a more advantageous position, just so he had more space for his legs to like do the talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, these are like those little key things that as athletes reach Sam's level, and even before then, like you never want to leave performance on the wall. And like if it's a little something as like a little bit of flick of the wrist, flick up the wrist, you're not pushing through your toes hard enough. You're not aggressively attacking the hold with your feet on the way down, so that way your ankle is stiff when it hits it, so that way you can apply force better. Little things like that. But then you kind of also have to be near Sam's level, or like, I mean, at least your level, Albert, to have that level of coordination and trust in where your body is on the wall, to be able to actively do these things and not have to think about them. That makes sense.
Yeah. Like you have to be at a certain level to like even work on certain things. Yeah.
It's the whole you have to walk before you run thing. Like, yeah, some kids can take off and start running right away, but no, everyone hobbles, everyone wobbles. They learn how to run. They learn how to look better when they run. Typically, you learn how to skip before you learn how to long jump. Typically, you learn how to do X, Y, Z before you do that. So like
you can't skip.
You can't skip.
Nope.
Can we get a video?
See him run
You
like a mile
run,
or like even 100 meters.
Cannot run correctly.
No. He's only designed for one thing.
I am designed for speed climbing and nothing else.
That's okay. I still want to see a video though. I definitely want to see a video of you skipping and running now. It can be private. I'm not going to put you on blast.
No, you can totally do it.
Yeah.
You'll be in for a treat. I think I've somewhat publicly shared it, but I think I have the same running deficiencies as a toddler. I think.
Oh my gosh.
I think that was the description I got once. So yeah,
That's saying a lot because a toddler's torso is 2/3 of their body and their legs are really tiny, so they waddle and they've got bow legs. So if you look like that,
Jeez.
I need to see it. I definitely need to see it.
Yo, so what do you think the record for women and men's will be after this season? Everyone give your bold prediction of the closest. We're gonna look back at this. Who's the closest?
Well, I'm gonna say men's is gonna be, I'll say 4 point. Man, I wish we'd have seen stuff from Indonesia already, but given the progressions that happened last year from the start of the year onward and where China's already at, I'll say 489.
say 474 based on the improvements I have to make.
Yeah. I'm gonna say 487.
I really wish that we could have gotten the video footage of Miroslav in
Yeah.
Poland because I'd have such a better opportunity of like, what could she improve? Because I think maybe like Wujan Dang could maybe like be in contention, but I'm just not sure with like her like a lot of the doors she has to open because I just haven't seen footage of her going that fast.
Mhm.
But maybe like I do know there is improvements at some point, and maybe like we see some women investing in the Chinese beta. Like no one currently does, but maybe. I mean, we're getting to that point.
Yeah.
In which it's possible, but I'm saying maybe like 620. Like I just said that's a way more.
I was gonna say
Great.
625.
625.
What do you think?
Because it sucks because like really she's the only one pushing records right now, like this deep. So unless there's a dark horse candidate from the different country, which we haven't heard of, and all of a sudden just has a breakthrough season, it's all gonna be based off of how she progresses. And it also sucks because, you know, she took the back half of the year off last year. So hard to see how she even progressed from last year from those records. Yeah. And if she's like, was she at this level last year and now she's still at the level and not pushing as far? Or is this where she's starting from? Nobody knows right now.
She definitely is quite the amazing competitor. So I think she will definitely break her own record at some point, but we just don't know what that will be because we just haven't seen footage.
I think she'll do it slowly. Like the next comp, she'll go like
slowly.
6'4", and then low 6'4", then high 6'3", then low 6'3", then high 6'2". Then,
I'm with you though. I think it's going to be sub 6'3".
Yeah.
And again, just based off of like the performance gap between genders, I would like. I'm gonna go aggressive. I'll say 615.
Okay,
let's go.
I'd rather be wrong for being too aggressive in my hopes.
All right.
Yeah. Honestly, I just want to see the first female sub 6.
Oh.
Yeah, me too. It'd be the best.
Yeah. We need to go get some like track stars.
IFSC needs to start paying record breakers like they do track stars. Every time you break a record, the IAAF gives you $100,000 once it's ready. So like, you can start putting like $5,000 on the line. It's gonna make a difference with these runs.
Yeah. Oh geez, that's a real thing. Okay, we just need a bounty.
Yeah. I will do a GoFundMe. Pay the first female sub 6.
Yeah.
But it actually surprises me because I know a lot of federations do have performance just payments like that, like in order to keep pushing performance. That's why like when you see pole vaulters, like pole vaulters get to choose when they're done. So you'll see a pole vaulter break the world record by 1 centimeter and then be done. So they can then break the world record a week later and get another $100,000.
Who's that one? That Swedish guy?
Mondo. That's what Mondo's been doing. That's why he's broke the world record like 8 times so far because. I mean,
why not?
That's
maybe
just
that's
good
like
strategy.
a 10-year type timeline.
I bet his practice PR is like ridiculous, and he's just like, I know exactly how to control it because he doesn't look like he's like pushing.
No, if you saw his latest world record, like say like this is the bar, his hips were like over like this.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, you've got a foot left. You've got 30 more world records underneath you.
You didn't even like really push yourself. Like he's chilling. He's just trying to like get world record after world record.
But if someone else pushes him and like gets the actual world record past that, then we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see him. He'll like set it super high then.
Right. All right. So yeah, we covered a good amount of stuff. Anything else that you guys want to talk about? How much longer are you out there training?
This is my second to last day here before I head back to Dallas, and then
Okay.
a little bit before I head to Korea.
Excellent. And then Albert, obviously that's where you live. So like, no. When's your next travel for a competition though? What are you planning on?
Kind of a while. It'll be in August or September. I hope it's in August. There's a comp in Houston that is lead only, but they should have a speed portion. So the rumor is there's a comp in Costa Rica, which I'm not gonna go to. It's like too much logistic nightmare for that. So yeah, it'll be like late August, September. So I got about 6 months. I'm gonna drop. My goal is to drop like over 0.5 by then. So I want to be
Sub
like
6.
sub 6 comfortably. Yeah, I want it to be like my bad runs are still like low 6, and like my good runs will be like 5.8, maybe 5.7.
Fantastic.
And I'm like,
I'm low key have been training now for about the last 3 months. So I built my campus board in the garage.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
we have a thing. We have a proposal for you.
Oh,
What is
Come
it?
to Salt
Yeah,
Lake.
you should come to the Salt Lake World Cup. I'll fly you out.
no, you'll fly me out.
Yeah.
You give me a media credential, and I will have my
I can.
family.
Yeah,
I'll make sure my
he'll
wife.
get you.
Perfect. I'll bring the whole family out. We'll take a vacation.
Okay.
Let's go.
You train with us, you train with
We'll do
the
some
other
video
teams.
stuff.
Yeah, we'll make some video. You watch.
Nice. Because the other thing I did is, so I had been coaching track, and I decided I wanted that free time back. So I'm no longer coaching track at the collegiate level. So this is my last season doing it. So gonna have, I'm
exciting.
going so I can go. I mean, I have no thoughts that I'm going to do anything good in speed climbing, but like I just want to do it. So and then just focus more on actually creating content for speed climbing as well, like you, Albert. So not like the same level of videos that you do, but just strength and conditioning, off the wall type work, like how to just be a better physical specimen for speed climbing, So
I never asked, how tall are you?
6'1".
Jungle.
6'1" with a 6'3" wingspan.
You can do jungle beta. Oh, you gotta do jungle beta. That's the new way. Let's go.
It's the most excited I've seen him about anything. He's more excited about this than making videos.
Kind of true. Yeah. That's it.
Perfect.
That's all. We have your beta. It's confirmed.
You've already got my beta. This is excellent. I'll just make sure I'm strong and ready for it, and then I'll come out and you can just a week. You can get me to learn it in a week, right?
I can get you to learn it in one session.
Excellent.
Good.
Y'all are crazy.
Perfect. All right. Well, I want to thank both of you for joining me for my lunch period. This is the best way to spend lunch at work. But Albert, Sam, I'll have both your socials in the information underneath here, but anyone watching this should obviously already know who you are. But if you just want to, give your socials as well, I'll give you some time right now. And also, if you have any sponsors at this point, let's drop your sponsors.
Yeah, Albert Oak has a YouTube channel. His name is Albert Oak. You should subscribe to him. He makes videos now.
At Samuel Watson.
Subscribe to Albert Oak on YouTube.
At Professor Oak.
He's gonna make some videos though.
Yeah.
He's making
Like
videos
as of tomorrow.
videos about wall climbing.
Wall climbing. Any sponsors?
No,
No.
Not yet.
no. It could not have gone worse.
Okay.
Every time I've tried, it could not have gone worse.
You got ghosted.
Yeah, twice.
Well, let's work on that. Let's next time your homework is the next time that you're on this podcast is that you have a sponsor you can drop their information for.
Yeah, maybe it's not in that way where like I want it to be actually good. I think I could get like some company that's just like sort of lower down, but I want a brand that I actually feel like I can trust and I can like work with like in a long-term way. And I feel like there's just no brands like that right now. It's a supply problem right now.
Yeah. Hey, keep spirit.
Keep spirit.
Yeah.
Keep spirit.
Keep up some manga.